What's up, everybody? This is BNJ Productions. I'm Jacob, and this is Brandon. And today we're doing another basketball talk, and we're continuing the series of going over some team evaluations in the NBA. I think this is our seventh through ninth team, and today we're doing the Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, and the Los Angeles Clippers. We're kind of doing these teams less the Bulls, but more the Heat and the Clippers because of the Jimmy Butler news, and we don't know where he's going, and he wants out of there. His preferred destination is the Heat, so let's go ahead and start talking about these teams. First off, we've got the Miami Heat, and they have a starting five of point guard Goran Dragic, made the All-Star game last year, shooting guard Dion Waiters, who's pretty good a couple years ago, and now is kind of slowed back down. Small forward James Johnson, kind of just a generic kind of guy. Power forward Kelly Olynyk, the guy who broke Kevin Love's leg a couple years back in the playoffs, and center Hassan Whiteside, another guy who kind of wants to get out of Miami, probably going to be a free agent this summer. A couple key bench players for this team. Dwayne Wade, his last year as in the NBA on the Heat, and it's going to be a pretty emotional year for this guy, and one of my favorite all-time NBA players. Josh Richardson in there, kind of just a pretty solid guy. Tyler Johnson in the same boat as Josh Richardson, and then Justice Winslow, kind of a flop and kind of a bust. People thought he was going to be pretty much amazing. Maybe the next LeBron taking over in Miami when LeBron left. And big question for this team is, will they be able to get Jimmy Butler?
Question. I don't think that's not where I would want him to go. I think that there's a good in kind of situation.
And I mean, they do have several pieces: Josh Richardson, Tyler Johnson, a lot of young guys like that. I mean, they can easily just trade him off for Jimmy Butler, and I mean, the T-Wolves would be happy just for anything they get because Jimmy Butler is going to leave no matter what, and him and Coach Tibbs, they don't get along, and Karl Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler don't mend together, and I mean, it's going to be a lose-lose unless the T-Wolves can get something out of this trade. And I don't know, the Heat they're kind of just that team right now, kind of mediocre, kind of the most meh team in the East maybe right now, but they're still going to make the playoffs more than likely. 6th seed last year, faced and lost to the Philadelphia 76ers first round, and I mean, they have a good pieces. Hassan Whiteside, one of the best centers in the league. Goran Dragic, he proved some stuff last year. He's kind of just one of the most underrated players in the NBA, and I think this team is going to be pretty good, and especially if they get Jimmy Butler, they can move from about a 6th through 8th seed to maybe a 4 or 5 seed with Jimmy Butler, and I mean, they could easily maybe take the East with Jimmy Butler, depending on how well he fits with this.
I see them as it'd be nice to get Dwayne Wade playoff run. Nice, but I see 9th through a 10th. Kind of a tough situation.
Okay, who do you have over them in this East playoff? Besides the normal Celtics thing,
I have the Wizards. I think the Wizards.
Okay. So the Heat, if they get Jimmy Butler, they're easily in the playoffs. Without Jimmy Butler, who knows how they're going to do this year. But, I mean, they've always been solid. They haven't missed the playoffs in a while, since probably before D-Wade, and it's going to be a kind of a mystery season for the Heat. Not a lot to see, not a lot that we know so far, but if Jimmy Butler gets traded to them in the past week or next week or so, then who knows how well the Heat are going to do. And up next, we got the Chicago Bulls, a team that's been pretty bad in the past since Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose was healthy and Joakim Noah was good and not overpaid. It's been a while since the Bulls have been in the limelight, and right now they've got a lineup at point guard. Chris Dunn traded for Jimmy Butler with Zach LaVine and a lot of players like that earlier in the year in the Wrights, Lauri Markkanen, and our last year. And shooting guard Zach LaVine, like I said, he's back from tearing his ACL. Who knows how well he's going to end up, and maybe even better. Used to be a dunk contest champion, was pretty good, starting to have a lot of talent and a lot of future things that were looking bright for the T-Wolves with Zach LaVine before they traded him, and then he got hurt. Small forward, new signee Jabari Parker from the Bucks. He hurt himself too, so the Bulls are kind of just a injury-prone team right now. Who knows how they're going to do. Power forward Lauri Markkanen, rookie big man from last year. He's going to be pretty good again. He in a year that didn't have as many stars as the rookies did, Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. He might have won Rookie of the Year if he was a rookie last year. Center, Robin Lopez, brother of Brooke Lopez, and who knows, kind of just a man player, but he'll have that spot until Wendell Carter Jr. steps up a little bit. Rookie out of Duke, and number 7 pick, and he's a pretty good young player, and I'm excited for him. They got a lot of key bench players. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr., of course, he's a rookie. He's exciting. Could bring a lot of hope for the Bulls. I don't know why they could have drafted a point guard or something. Or well, I don't know. The Bulls kind of have a lineup where they don't have a lot of stars, but they have a lot of good players from each position. So I think Wendell Carter was a good pick there. Of course, got Bobby Portis, a young guy, power forward, always been good for the Bulls, and then a small forward from Michigan State a couple years back, Denzel Valentine, hadn't been as good as what people thought he would be. And I mean, what do you think the ceiling is here for the Bulls?
They're a good young team. I think that they're missing feeling out and do everybody. I think get it.
I think
playoff spot.
I had him as an 8 seed. Here.
I think they're missing. I don't think a lot of leaders in the team. Both around there.
Bulls still got a long way to go, and like the Mavericks and the Suns, and they're a good young team, have lots of young talent, but I mean they still got a lot of way to go. I think a ceiling kind of with those other teams is an 8 seed, 7 seed, maybe that. I mean the East is very weak compared to the West, and I think they can somehow sneak in there, and who knows, maybe they'll have an amazing year. Jabari and Zach LaVine and Chris Dunn just go off, and who knows how things are going to go for the Bulls, and a lot of things to happen this year, and a lot of big questions in the NBA. Yeah, and so up next we got our West team, the Los Angeles Clippers. We've already done the Lakers, but the other team in LA not shining as bright as they used to be in the West, with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan now on the Mavericks, Blake Griffin on the Pistons, and Chris Paul on the Rockets, of course. And I mean this lineup is a little kind of Mitch and don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but kind of just a little weird, a little wacky, kind of random spots on this team. And point guard drafted this year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's a young, good guy. I think kind of a sleeper for a Rookie of the Year besides Luka and DeAndre Ayton. And I mean, he's a pretty good young player. Draft 12th, and then 13th drafted was Jerome Robinson, a guy who kind of slid up the draft boards that night and kind of had a pretty decent rookie drafting this year. Could help the Clippers, and they have a chance to get Jimmy Butler too. But a lot of things there. Shooting guard Avery Bradley traded for Blake Griffin, and he's kind of been all over the place. Hadn't been as good as he has been since 2 years ago with the Celtics in his defensive presence, but he still can get better. Small forward Danilo Gallinari, kind of a foreign guy, just always has been solid. Played for the Nuggets a couple years ago and signed a new contract last year for the Clippers, I think. Probably their best player on the Clippers, Tobias Harris, traded with the Pistons. He's a pretty good, solid player. I like him a lot. I think he's severely underrated, kind of like Goran Dragic, and I think he's a pretty good guy, and he can play well for the Clippers. And then center, traded away, I think, or they signed him this summer with Marcin Gortat, guy who's always been with the Wizards, kind of meh player, kind of like Robin Lopez for the Bulls, but I mean, and they've got a lot of good bench players, which I think they have one of the best chances to get Jimmy Butler. Lou Williams, of course, 6th man of the year last year, incredible guy. Traded a couple years back, I don't remember from who, but thinking it was the Rockets. But yeah, he was traded with the Rockets for Chris Paul and stuff. And Montrezl Harrell, another guy traded in that trade, and pretty solid guy, one of the best defensive players on the Clippers. Patrick Beverley, another big defensive player. Luka Mbah-a-Moute, another former Rockets player. These guys right here just used to play on the Rockets and kind of lost in that Chris Paul trade. And then, of course, the drafted Jerome Robinson slid up the boards. A lot of promise from him. Could be good. Then a foreign guy last year who people thought were going to be amazing, Milos Teodosic. And he could have been way better than he was, but kind of disappointing for him. 31 years old, kind of old for a rookie, but I mean, this Clippers team has a lot of pieces, and do they have enough that they can get Jimmy Butler, you think?
I think the best place I can really see a trade that was accepted. They got 2 young rookies. I could see them throwing in one of the rookies. Bradley go. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler. my opinion, this is the most likely place for Jimmy Butler, just because it's best deal for the for Wolves.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, without Jimmy Butler, they could really kind of. They're not going to make the playoffs without Jimmy Butler, but with him, they could probably slip in 8th or 7th. I don't know. Depends on how well these teams fit. And they were close to the playoffs last year, close to the 8th seed, kind of behind the Nuggets and the T-Wolves. But I mean, with Jimmy Butler, they can easily move up. Nuggets got a lot of promise, but I mean, the West is very tough to get into the playoffs and win in the playoffs even more. And it could be even harder to get into it this year. A lot of good teams, Suns, Mavericks, all these kinds of teams just trying to dive in for that 8th seed, and who knows what's going to happen with these 3 teams are kind of a mystery. It's kind of why we chose them this week, and just kind of, man, who knows how they're going to do, and a lot of things, a lot of questions for this team. And NBA is definitely not as exciting as the NFL is right now with all the mystery and excitement going on there, but I mean, there's a lot of questions. Who knows? Pacers, a lot of just Pacers of last year, I'm trying to say, and a lot of teams. Who knows what's going to happen? But, well, I think that's all we have for today because I'm running out of things to say. And happy Wednesday, everyone. This has been BNJ Productions, Jacob and Brandon's Basketball Talk. I'm Jacob, and this is Brandon. We will see you tomorrow. That girl's night. Oh yeah, I got it right on the tee.
Jacob.
You
What are
can
we
talk
talking
about
about?
the Cavs, Jazz, and the Bucks, right?
Oh, another 3 teams.
Yeah. So we can get this part done. Just be cold.